In this video, we're just going to introduce the checkpoint assignment. We are interested in this assignment in determining whether or not there are any inequities based on race in rearrest rates for released former prisoners. The data we have comes from 24 states, looking at all released prisoners in the year 2008 in those 24 states, and counting how many were rearrested over the following 10 years. It comes from the Bureau of Justice Statistics. Now, the data we're given can be broken down by race, and it tells us that given a race, how many were rearrested, or in probabilistic terms, it gives us a conditional probability, the probability that someone was rearrested, given that they're white or black or Hispanic or what have you. For simplicity, we're just going to focus on white or black. In addition, we can use the percentage of all those all those released among different races as our kind of universes in conditional probability that we're restricting to. So here's the issue. The real way to measure whether or not there are any inequities is to figure out if we selected a random person who had been rearrested, are they equally likely, relatively equally likely, to have been white as to have been black. But that's the inverse problem, reversing the conditional probability. So we need to go through a similar calculation that we performed in the last video. So what we need is the and probabilities for both black and white. We need the total probability of someone being rearrested, and then we need to divide to figure out these two different conditional probabilities. So how are you going to do that? Well, for the probability that somebody in one of these 24 states was both rearrested and is black, we multiply the conditional probability by the probability of being black. Likewise, for the probability of being white and rearrested, we multiply these two probabilities, and we get that result. Finally, for the total probability of being rearrested, before I mentioned we're limiting ourselves to white and black folks, we just add the two up. Now, for the conditional probabilities, we want to divide the and probabilities for the given condition divided by the total probability of being rearrested. So for the probability of being black, given that we're rearrested, we divide the and probability for black and rearrested by the probability of being rearrested. Similarly, for the white probability, divide the and by the total. Once you have the calculations, take a look at the results. Do they look far apart, in which case maybe there's some injustice, or are they relatively close together, allowing for a little bit of statistical noise? And what I'd like you to do in the assignment, as I'll describe in the write-up, I would like you to, once you perform the calculations, answer two questions. The first is, how close are they? Are they close enough to conclude that the only difference is a little bit of statistical noise and we're not seeing any inequities out of this data? The second question is, what are the limitations of this analysis? Think about the limitations of the data, the limitations of the scenario, and really try and hone in to say what this tells us and only what this tells us and what it doesn't tell us. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do. In the next chapter, we're going to look at linear models and linear functions.